Hi, Mark here from the Tangibound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangibound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangibound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangiboundNetwork.com and see if Tangibound Network is right for you.
Sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time. Stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
We're not doctors, therapists, trained professionals of any kind, so if you feel you do need help, please reach out and get the help you need. We have a whole list of things on our files page over on Facebook at facebook.com/crazylifepodcast, and or just search on the internet for the suicide prevention hotline number, or go to NAMI.org or whatever resource you can find. But just please reach out for help if you need it. If you feel as though you're going to harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. And try not to be alone. Also, if you feel that way and you realize that you're writing a note or making plans of how you would do, like harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. That's a huge red flag. And lastly, please do not replace the idea of therapy with listening to this show. Again, if you need help, please reach out and get the help that you need, or contact us. We can try to help you find the help that you need.
Welcome to the Crazy Life, everyone. My name's Jen. I am your hostess for the evening. And with me, as always, Brian and Henno. Hey, guys.
Word.
Yo.
So enthusiastic tonight, my guys.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness.
We're so down.
I can barely contain you.
Yeah.
Let me at him. Let me at him. Why I oughta.
Well, with all that enthusiasm, who's going first this week?
Maybe the birthday boy?
Yeah, I'll go first.
I like
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. All right. And you're on the hot spot.
Mm.
How was your week?
So, well, as you both said, and I mentioned last week, so my birthday was Sunday. And went out with some friends on Saturday night, and it was really weird. I haven't really had the like social, I don't know how to word it again. Like, like I've talked before, how I can feel my level of like what I can handle rising, or depleting, however you want to look at it. And I got I got that way. Eventually, Saturday night, it was just weird. I started feeling kind of weird and just off, And the first thing I was thinking was, because I couldn't remember if I took my antidepressant the day before. And I was like, well, that would explain it. Because, it's not like crazy off, but it's just a little off, And then I was like, no, and I haven't drank... it wasn't like I drank a ton to where, I'd be feeling that. It was just, it turns out most of it, I think, was from a headache I had coming on that really hit me hard after we left. So that was no fun.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, but yeah, what are you going to do, So, and Roxana was in town also, so that was, it was really cool to get to spend my birthday with her and, with, Tony and T and Michelle and stuff. So, yeah, we had a good time, but it was, it was just weird how I felt that way. And then, today waking up, I was, I kind of still felt like, or not today, I'm sorry, yesterday, when I woke up, I kind of felt the hangover of it, like the emotional hangover of the thing. So it was like, so, clearly wasn't just the headache, there was, I was feeling the other as well. So, which could be because, obviously I was really excited. Roxana was coming in, so I'm kind of, probably redlining it a little bit, and then going and doing that.
Sure.
And, yeah, but whatever. It was, like I said, it was fun. I got another testosterone shot, which was fun.
Are you feeling any difference?
I'm noticing more than before.
Good.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like my energy level's been higher for the most part. I forgot what else I was going to say. I don't remember. Anyway, but there's been various ways that I've kind of noticed from, and again, I'm looking at the thing kind of saying, hey, at this point, you'll feel this, or you may feel these things. And it looks like from week 4, that's when you start kind of really noticing like stuff. Before that, it's mostly like you just feel like you have more energy. From week 4 through like 2 months or something like that, I think it is, then you start feeling, there's a whole nother plateau of things that should happen. So
Nice.
yeah. And, it was, I went into the doctor's office, and it was kind of cool, when I went to leave, there was a guy standing at the elevator, and he saw me, that I had walked from that office, and he's like, who'd you see? And I was like, well, actually I didn't see anybody today. I just got a shot. And I'm like, but I've been seeing Dr. Shah or Ferreira. And he was like, yeah, he's like, man, he's like, those guys are so great. He's like, they're my favorite doctors. And, and I was like, mine too, cause it's true. They're something. But yeah, it's, like I said, I'm starting to notice, some stuff from that, which is cool because, like I was saying earlier, it was weird. Like I'm going and getting these shots, but I don't really feel that different. It's like, why am I doing this then?
Yeah.
So now I'm seeing positive, reaction, and I haven't seen, at this point, I haven't noticed anything negative. So that's all strong. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's been pretty good, pretty good week here. So unfortunately, took Roxana to the airport today and sent her home. So, that sucks, but it is what it is, So
yeah, distance can be difficult for sure.
Yeah. So just didn't worry about it the whole time. That's my win for the week is the last couple times she's been here in my head, because my head does this. There was a countdown. Like you only have this much time. It's kind of like, when you go to sleep late at night, or you wake up and you're like, oh geez, if I fall asleep right now, I can get 4 hours of sleep. If I will fall asleep now, 3 hours, that's what my brain basically was doing with the visits. And it was, it's frustrating because it's like, why are you focusing on this? Like
enjoy the moment, be in the moment.
Yeah. Focus on good stuff. Don't focus on that. So this time I noticed that I was doing more of that. I didn't even really think about it.
Good.
Until last night, because, I'm like, well, this is the day before, so it's a little more in your face, So yeah. So yeah, that's about it for me, I think. So like I said, it was pretty good week, and glad that I kind of turned off my overanalyzing or what's the word I'm looking for, like micromanaging kind of type of thing.
No. Well, I'll go next. My week has been fairly uneventful, which is a good thing. The traditional work crazy stuff, but for the most part, everything's been good. Trying to think. Oh, well, one exciting piece of news is my other podcast. I was very excited to get the email that iTunes has accepted us. So, yeah. So, Shake the Sheets is now on iTunes, which is really awesome, considering that's my first podcast I've ever produced. Mm-hmm. So, I'm kind of, I don't get me wrong, I adore this podcast, as everyone knows, but it's kind of neat to have kind of what I would consider my baby kind of going out there into the world.
Yeah. Well, it is it is a big deal too, because that is the biggest market for podcasts. You want it there because there's more eyes on podcasts there than there are anywhere, so it is a big deal to get, even though it's not hard, it's just, it's good that you didn't get turned down for whatever reason. I've heard some silly ones over the years, so, yeah.
It is a stepping stone for sure. And that's, and I'm very excited, and my co-host, this is his first podcast. So he's extra excited, which gets me amped as well. It's really awesome when you're working with someone who has a lot of enthusiasm and energy. It just really amps you up too, and makes you want to be even better.
That's why people like me on their podcasts.
Exactly.
All that energy I bring.
You make us strive for better things, man.
Yep.
It's awesome.
You're a virtual bubble.
It's not virtual. I am.
But other than that, my husband gets his cast off tomorrow, so we find out more information on that. And hopefully, he can get back to work in his regular schedule, period, honestly. Just get things back to normal, which would be nice. As those that are with someone for long periods of time, as much as you love the person, it is nice to have a little separation once in a while. And, yeah. I'm sure that he would like to get away from me for a little while, and even if it is just going to work.
Right.
So
How far up his arm is the cast?
Oh, it's just a half cast. It's it goes up to just below his elbow.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the way up to his hand?
Yes.
To his knuckles?
Yes. Yep, from knuckles to just below the elbow.
Okay. Please post a picture of the tiny wrist.
Yeah.
I will.
The old atrophy wrist, yep.
Yep.
It's
haven't been using this one much.
It's got really strong hands and arms because of the job that he does.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I bet it's going to look ridiculous.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to kind of see the juxtaposition of his strong hand, and because he has bigger hands to begin with. So he's got a bigger hand and a tiny wrist. So should be interesting. I promise. I do have a picture of him with his cast on, but it is not Facebook appropriate because he's flying the bird, which, that's fun. But, yes, not something I would put on my Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
You're just saying you're number one.
Exactly. Right. Well, other than that, the meds are doing really well. I've been fairly consistent. Had over this last weekend, if I'm being honest, last weekend I had a couple hiccups, a little, I would say probably, I would, kind of like a real, not relapse, can't think of the right word. Like I have been doing really highs for quite a while now, so kind of needed to have a couple low days, and I think that's when they hit. It was over the weekend. I had a couple low days, which, it wasn't bad. I had some good friends and stuff to kind of help, support me through it and stuff, and help me understand basically all the emotions. I get a flood of emotions, and knowing what to act on, what to not act on is difficult when you're flooded with so many emotions. So I had a couple good friends kind of step in and kind of like, okay, this is something that needs to be acted upon. This is something we just have to go through, and just kind of weed through it and just ride it out. Yeah, which is really awesome to be able to have that to talk to people and just be able to bounce that off of. So, but yeah, other than that, everything's been pretty darn good. I see my highlight of the week is I was reaching out. I was really struggling, and I reached out and I asked for help. So, which is not something I do well. I'll openly admit I don't ask for help as well as I should, but yeah. But it all was good. So, how about you, Heno? How are you doing?
Good. I was trying to come up with if I had a win for the week, and I can't really come up with one right now.
That's all right.
It's really interesting, though, sometimes how that is, but it doesn't seem like a bad thing sometimes, Like there was just nothing that really leaps out at you, but nothing was, but it was still a good week kind of a thing. I've been there. That's why I used to do, when I was doing a daily journal thing, that's why I would always make myself write, like, one good thing that happened to me that day. Was so that I couldn't at any point look back and go, oh, nothing happened that week. I could at least read, Yeah,
like my work week last week didn't end great. I just had a project that I was working on. It was the first time using a product in a certain way, and I got it like half amazing, and the other half went, okay, well, I didn't. That sucked, and it's usually very difficult for me to leave something in a, I want to fix it. I want to make it right. But it's like, well, there's no making it right. I gotta wait. And it's been a struggle for me is to just be okay with that. But the, actually it's funny compared to like the week before where I was like, ended the work week with like oh Lord, I have to come clean on stuff and blah 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 and all that. It's how great is it to just not have any, nothing bad happened, nothing amazing happened. I'm okay with that.
Yep.
I think a lot of what's been really great is like Sharon and I, we touch base in the kitchen, it seems. That's the common space because typically if I'm in it, bedrooms are like I have my TV, she has her TV, and mine's in the living room, and sometimes we talk there, but typically kitchen time is when you have a place you can where it's I'm either putting dishes away or it's food prep or something like that. We have time to talk, and I still just really am so grateful for having a partner who we can check in with each other and not feel any anxiety over it, and to be to welcome it, and and to know that we both look at the positives in our relationship and don't get too hung up on negatives or like we're not. One thing that came up out of this conversation was this idea of neither one of us demands too much.
Yeah.
And it's a huge relief. When people are very independent by nature, having someone that is demanding, and it's not demanding of like me personally, but demanding of the relationship or placing expectations on it, like that some sort of self-satisfaction has to come out of a partnership. And that we don't do that. We have our self-satisfaction is with ourselves, and we bring that and share it together. And just to have like those moments where it's like, hey, how are you feeling? Oh, I'm feeling good. It just like really made me feel like, wow, I am so in the right place. And it was great.
Nice.
It was really great to have that. And just, I hate to say it, but it's one of those things where you see so many people that I'm not saying doing it wrong. They do it different, and I couldn't do it that way.
Yeah.
And I go, I am the right place. When I hear,
Yep.
like, and it's like, hey, we're all doing the best we can with what we've got. But sometimes I hear some stories, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't want that.
Right.
Right.
But I think it's something that I tended to not do in the past a lot, because I don't think I felt like I was ever in the right place. So who wants to have conversations when you're not feeling right?
Yeah.
You don't then, you're not as open. You're not as willing to, listen and to take in things into consideration. So that's kind of a cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, yeah, other than that, fun week. Happy to have Brian, 40 something, along with me for about another 6 months. And
Sweet.
then I'm gonna blow right past it. Yeah.
Right to 60. No.
Right? Yeah. Straight. Yeah. You know what? That's the worst part about it is the minute I turn 50, Sharon's gonna be like, "So pushing 60 already." She's gonna. I know it.
Love it. I hope she does. If not, I'll remind her.
Yep.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Close to retirement, so hush.
Yeah.
Well, it was interesting when we were out on Saturday. The first place we were at, we were out on the patio, and there was like a party going on, and they had balloons that said 40 on them and all this, and Tony's like, you should go over there and get your picture with those. The thing is, if I had gone over there and been like, hey, whose birthday is it? Mine's tomorrow. We're both 40, whatever. They probably would have let me do it. If I'd just kind of gone over there and been like, hey, whatever, But, yeah.
You're lucky you'd go over there and had someone you went to high school with that you didn't really want to talk to.
Yeah, you're right. That is, yeah. Like, jeez.
Oh, it's you.
You made it to 40, huh? Damn. No.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. Now, there were a lot of people over there for whoever it was, so they must be fairly popular, or they were buying drinks, one or the other. So.
Well, I believe, Hannah, you have our story for today.
Yeah. Speaking of relationships, we have a lighthearted relationship topic for tonight from Psychology Today, and it is the top 10 tips to reduce relationship baggage. And the first question is your relationship baggage carry-on or cargo? We all come into our relationships with items from our past which have an effect on our relationship. Some of these things make us better partners, and some do not. Learning what to keep and what to let go of is a lot like learning how to travel light and still keep everything first class. Oh, boy.
And, and some of those luggage are nice Louis Vuittons, with all the bells and whistles. And some of that luggage is, the Piggly
bag.
Wiggly bag.
Yep.
Yep. This little trash bag, Piggly Wiggly bag that's just tied with duct tape around the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, our tip number one is take only what you really need. Children, healthy behaviors, and the ability to admit when you are wrong are some of the things that successful couples say are a must for a successful relationship. What say you?
I agree that that sounds pretty nice, but we don't. There's other things that are positives and stuff that you want to take with you, of course. Mm-hmm. So some of our baggage may get a little heavy, but I think there's a lot to be learned from the mistakes that we've made. And I wouldn't even want to say mistakes. I'm more along the lines of lessons that we have learned. And from one relationship to another, there's a lot of lessons that you learn and about yourself, about what you're looking for in a partner. That all of that should be in that luggage too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think those are things that you really need.
Yes.
The lessons are what you need. but not necessarily what led to the lessons. You
Yeah.
don't necessarily need to bring those with you.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And
number
like
two-
I
go
never the admitting you're wrong thing doesn't apply to me because I'm never wrong. So I don't.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, obviously.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, that's why you only fly first class. I mean,
Right.
come on.
Wait. You're right.
Yeah, you
I've
don't
never
fly.
flown anything else.
Anything other than first class. Or,
Well, speaking of Louis Vuitton, number 2 is choose high-quality baggage. Only bring the things from your past that will make your present and future better. If there is someone or something that makes your current uncomfortable, choose to leave it behind.
I'm sorry.
This is a tough one.
Yes. Well, I have a teddy bear from my first boyfriend ever that I carry with me in my luggage. So, and it's going to stay in my luggage even though it's not applicable for me today. It's still going to be there. Just saying.
So if something in my past is so it's not necessarily crucial, but it's just so much a part of me, of who I am today, it's sometimes hard to not bring that with me.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it comes down to, if I'm unable to leave those behind at home when I travel, then maybe my destination is wrong. It's like I have to look at it that way. Because anytime I was in a position where I could not feel like what made me the person I am today wasn't accepted, it never worked well. But that might have been my problem, that I carried it around with me all the time. I just don't feel that way right now, and I've never felt that way in my current relationship, which is, I guess, why I decided to spend the rest of my life with her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you should be accepted for everything. You are a sum of your parts, and I understand the whole reason you don't want to bring unnecessary items with you. If it's not something that you can grow off of. If you've already done your growing off of that lesson, leaving that lesson in your past, absolutely, I can see that happening. But if you're still growing with it and learning from it, that needs to stay with you.
And I'm also curious about, at what point is your partner wrong? Because I know someone that's going through a real hard time with this because their partner has some issues that I consider a little not quite, I think they're out of line.
Mm-hmm.
And he's miserable as a result of it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I just don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting because I think that, fits a little with the take only what you need thing, with the, if you're in those scenarios is, kind of keep inventory of what you're asking of the other person and make sure that you're, not, I don't have a good analogy to use here. So just make sure you're not, asking them to do too much, like you said, or you're not being unreasonable in what it is,
And
yeah, because it's one thing to, here's the thing. If anyone has children, they have there's somebody else former in that picture, maybe, sometimes, that you're not necessarily leaving, you're not going to leave that behind. And if your partner's uncomfortable with that, then probably the wrong partner.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to say the same thing about, like, when people's pasts are so important, like something is truly, it doesn't even have to be a positive thing. It can be a negative thing, but it has made them who they are today. And this idea, like, okay, well, I'm never going to talk about this because it makes them uncomfortable. Well, it's like, well, then maybe you're with the wrong person.
Yeah.
Number 3, never check your bag. Your relationship is your responsibility and no one else's. Do not put it into the hands of anyone who might damage it. If you need help, seek it from a qualified and licensed professional.
I agree with that. You always seek out advice from friends, but don't have them making the decisions either. There's a difference. When someone can give you advice, absolutely, and you weigh that into your decision that you make, absolutely. But yeah, by no means do you sit there and say, what do I do? Okay, I'm just going to follow that blindly. No, you need to make a decision for you.
Also...
Go ahead, Hannah.
Oh, sorry. That other person might also have their own personal baggage that they're bringing in.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly.
That's actually what I was going to say, though, is it's like I kind of feel, to some extent, like... I kind of feel like relationships are both people kind of checking each other's bags all the time. You know, to make sure that things aren't getting too heavy for the other person or whatever, you know, so that, you know, you can help them through whatever they need help with, you know.
I think this is more like you go to your friend and start talking to them about your relationship, and that person's like, oh, you got to dump her.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Because that person personally doesn't like them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, when it's not really a problem, that person might be biased or whatever, versus, you know, going to a professional and saying, hi, I'm having a difficult time.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, you got to dump them. Because, no.
Yeah. But then again, if everybody around you feels the same way, well,
you always want to weigh if they're important to you, their opinion does have weight, and you
that's
it. Weigh their opinion, but you have to make your final decision, though.
Yep. Number 4, enjoy the sights. If you let the pain of the past get to you, it's really hard to treasure the present. Let go of whatever it was that your ex hated and learn to see things through the eyes of the one you now love.
Like it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Unless it's the same thing.
Yeah, I think I've been guilty of this.
Mm. Yeah.
Which probably means that I wasn't ready for a new relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Very well could be, yeah.
We can't see that when we're in the midst of things sometimes.
No, sometimes we can't. Yeah. We're doing whatever we need to do at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, number 5 is double check your essentials. The most important thing in a relationship is communication. If you're not talking about the deeper issues or even some of the smaller ones, recheck your priorities and start the conversation.
I think that's kind of what you were getting at earlier, Hannah.
Yep.
With
Yep.
Sharon, yeah, because that's really important.
And we even hit on some of the smaller ones where there was this thing that happened last night when I went to go get some ice cream, and there was hardly any left of the ice cream that I had purchased.
Uh-oh.
However, there was a bite, so I thanked her for leaving me some. And then I gave her a little ribbing about it today.
Right, that's only fair. Yeah.
They don't passive aggressive.
No, but and you know, the funny thing is like we joke like, you know, you're mad at me because I blah blah blah. It's like, no, I laugh about it and I actually enjoy it. Mm-hmm. It's part of our relationship. It's like when I buy an ice cream that has little chocolate parts all across the top of it. Like, let's say it's a big wide container, right? And instead of running the chocolate all the way through the ice cream, it only sits on the top, and I go to have some ice cream and none of the chocolate is left on the top because it's all been nibbled off.
See,
now, I still enjoy my ice cream, but be sure I'm going to talk about how all that chocolate disappeared.
Sure.
Amazing how that happens.
Mm-hmm. Like, you know what would make this really good? Some chocolate on top of it.
On top of this. Probably one of the reasons why I bought it. But hey, whatever.
Right.
But I agree. Absolutely. Like, if I look back on the relationships that didn't work, communication was an issue.
Mm-hmm. Usually is.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly important.
Number 6 is be prepared for delays. Things seldom go as we would like. Normal tasks and everyday problems can take on gargantuan proportions if you keep thinking that life needs to go the way you planned. Relationships are full of unexpected events, so learn to enjoy the journey. And I was also kind of talking about that earlier, about this idea of putting expectations on your relationship and how sometimes that can really put a stress on it. Thinking like, I thought we would be at this certain place at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or that kind of stuff versus, you know, things don't always go as you would like them to. Sometimes that plan to be in a certain, place in your relationship at a specific date doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
It's like those people that are, feel like they're failures because by age 30 they're not, married with kids and, the car in the garage and all that. It's like, no, just, maybe it'll still happen. Just let it happen on its time, Because, you could get married to just some random person, have some children with this person you're not really into, get a house that you're tied to for a ton of years, and then get divorced.
Yeah.
You had everything you wanted by 30, and now you have
nothing by 32.
Yeah, by 32. Terrible, yeah.
Oh, that's great. This next one, number 7, is call your partner every day. Sometimes work and the tasks of daily living can be so overwhelming that we may forget to talk to the one we love during the day. These phone calls aren't a means of keeping tabs on your partner. They are an important way of maintaining the connection. And I would just, for myself, what I need to do is I need to have that moment where no matter, because I'm not going to be calling Sharon during the day. We don't really talk on the phone. If we do contact each other, it's via text or something else. Mm-hmm. We might, say I love you, or something really nice, even some hearts or something like that. However, the thing that I know I need to work on is there's that point in the evening when the work day is done. I'm at home, and even though I might be doing something that at that moment I think is important, if she comes before me, it is time for me to drop that thing and give her attention.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. Yeah, it's very important that you recognize the other person's needs as well as your own during the course of the day, whether it be the evening or during the day, whenever it may be. You do need to make sure that in that relationship, part of that communication is recognizing and accepting they have needs that need to be met just as you do.
Yeah.
Number 8. Enjoy the sights. Traveling through life with the one you love is a lot nicer if you can enjoy the beauty in your life that your partner provides. Life is short. Do whatever you can to enjoy the trip. That's one thing is I think that's, I am generally a half glass full person. I will be seeing more positives than I will be seeing negatives. And I think it's just part of who I am. And I think it's just so important that, that we, I'd rather be on that side of it than the other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah, definitely. And really, if you don't feel you can do that with the person, that's a good, that's a good,
that's a good benchmark.
Yeah. Good place to do some reflecting,
Yeah. Yeah. And that doesn't necessarily mean on the relationship. I think that's more on, if you're always seeing the negative in your partner, then maybe it's time to do a little self-work there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Number 9 is pay attention to the emergency instructions. No matter how much you plan, there are going to be mishaps along the way. If you're aware of what to do when turbulence strikes, you and your partner will be able to remain comfortable and secure.
Absolutely.
So I think this goes back to that idea of how do you, have you had the conversation about heavy conversations? Mm-hmm. And I mean, I typically don't do that because you don't really know what the other person, you don't know how you're going to react, and you don't know how the other person is going to react until you get into those situations.
Right.
However, once you're there, I think it's definitely worth, it's like, I had a friend of mine once say, it's so amazing we don't get into any fights. And it's like, that's not good.
Yeah.
I'd want to get into one, just to learn something.
Yeah.
I want to know do they throw low blows? Do they run away? I want to know how they fight.
Right.
And that was the one thing that I think that
well, not to mention they could just be everything's all puppies and roses, and then you get into a fight and they just start lobbing all this stuff at you that they've just buried down, kind of a thing. And it's like, where was all of this?
Mm. Yeah. And I think like one thing that since in my relationship, we've always been very independent. We're independent financially and stuff like that. So when we do have conversations that come up where we have to talk about those commingled aspects of our life, at first it was a little difficult because we never checked in on it. We didn't have, that conversation beforehand. Like, okay, hey, I might get a little, fired up about this because this is a very important thing to me. Mm-hmm. But I don't want you to feel like I'm pushing this on you. I want you to know that no matter what happens, I love and support you and blah, blah, blah. And my reaction is just based on the situation and it has nothing to do with you personally. I think those are like things that you can talk about beforehand, like, or also like, hey, what, if, death of a loved one, this is how, or lost my job or blah, blah, blah. I think those are things that are worth talking about. Not like this, hey, what would happen if I lost my job? Oh, what are you saying? But like an honest thing, like, okay, how do you react during these times? And I think it's worth knowing that if I suddenly had to go have heart surgery, how are you going to be? Yeah. Those are I think those are effective hypotheticals to create more communication in a relationship myself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How about you, Jen? What's your experience with that as far as the, things happening and, and reactions and stuff?
Well, the whole reactions, it's so tough because you are right. You never know how someone's going to react. And so that's why it is important to go through scenarios and things, especially in a newer relationship, to understand that, how people react. I mean, I've experienced quite a few different styles of arguing techniques that different people had, throughout my life. And I know which ones I respond best to, and I know which ones that I do not respond to at all. So, but one of the big things that everyone's kind of heard me say on here over and over again in past episodes is my style of fighting. I don't fight for no reason. So if we're having a deep conversation, if we're having an argument, if it gets heated, then by golly, we're going to have an outcome. And whether we like it or not, we're going to have an outcome. And I don't care what that outcome is, as long as it's something that we have learned about the situation. Be it, don't say that it pisses her off. That's fine. You've learned something. Because I don't waste my breath and time. If I'm arguing with you and not walking away, that means that I care and I want us to get to a better place. Because I don't argue for no reason.
Yeah. And I think that goes also with those ideas of like, okay, my natural tendency might be to go hide for a little while, but then I'll come back out. And I just need that. I would like you to give me that moment. Like those are those things. I think that's a great, like, your partner has to know that even if you just come up with something like, I learned that the sky is blue today, if it has just something, some lesson,
yes,
that's going to make you feel more satisfied in a relationship, and that is a good indicator of whether that other person is paying attention.
True.
And flip it on me, and and make me do the same thing. I'm not opposed to that. Mm-hmm. It's like, you want to know what I've learned from us arguing? I will tell you. And in that way, I want to feel valued. And I think that's how you value someone, is you listen for understanding. And even in the heat of the battle, you still, by the end of it, you should walk away with something. Because if you didn't walk away with anything gained from spending all that time arguing in emotion and all the stuff that you just spent, what was the point? If nothing is gained from it, what's the point? And why are you going to go through that futility over and over and over again? Because you will. Because if you didn't learn anything the first time, doesn't mean it's going to stop it from happening the next time, does it?
It's true.
So, you know what? You don't want to repeat it? Figure it out. Make it worthwhile.
So our number 10 is always carry something that reminds you of home. A photo or keepsake of those you love should never be out of reach. These things serve to keep us in touch with what is most important. And I think that's an easy thing to forget, that when we go out on our daily lives, and especially, when relationships become more routine, they become more settled into, familiar and comfortable patterns. It's sometimes easy to just, go off and do our own thing and forget to, grab that little bit that keeps us, reminds us of what home is and what's important.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And the last thing, which I thought was letting go of useless baggage will make your journey through coupledom a first-class adventure. When you sit down to reminisce about your life, you'll find that a great relationship is the best trip you've ever taken. And one thing I like about that is this, and it's something that I sometimes forget to do, is sometimes when I start an adventure, I need to think about how I want to see it when I'm done. Do I want to actually see it from the lens of my cell phone that I kept Snapchatting everything? Or do I want to have right? You know what I mean? Like, I've had those times where I've gone and done something and I went, wow, I didn't enjoy that because I didn't think about how I really wanted to feel about this when the adventure was over.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that if I think about my relationship and go, okay, in 5 years, make small goals in 1 year, in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, how do I want to see this, the adventure? How do I want to remember it?
Yeah.
What guy do I want to remember that I was? And I think that'll help. That usually helps guide me towards a better today.
Mm. That makes sense.
By thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because I sometimes in the moment I can be extremely selfish. But if I project myself in the future and go, hey, how do you want to look back on this? It's typically the unselfish Henno, not the selfish guy.
Right.
And I have to remind myself of that because inherently I am self-centered and self-seeking to the worst. And it's a constant struggle to not be.
Right.
Yep. We all have that in us. I remember from my wedding, my mom, the music was starting and I was about to walk down the aisle and my mom took out her phone and was going to record it. And my cousin ran up to her and said, Aunt Helen, don't do that. And my mom's like, but I want to have it on video. And she's like, there's a video camera over there.
Yep.
There's all these people with phones here. You're the mother of your bride. You have one daughter. Do you really want to watch your daughter's wedding through the screen of your phone? Or do you want to be here in the moment? Experience it firsthand.
That's my thing with concerts. Tony and I have talked about this on Salty Language when we've gone to see shows. As you see everybody holding up their dang phones and they're more focused on getting the, zooming in right and it's like, you're missing the concert. Like, you're here for the show. Enjoy the show. If you want to see video of, unless it's something like a once in a lifetime type deal, like you get called up on stage or, maybe something like that to where you want to have it recorded. But even then, a friend will record it. It's, I don't know.
Even if it's just a moment to just throw it up on Snapchat and say, hey, look where we are, and then back to enjoying the show. But the way you just described that, Brian, is like a freaking metaphor for a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And for life in general. Yeah. It's like, what do you really want? Do you what do you really want out of this? Do you want to be enjoying these moments? Yeah. Or, it's like, what's your real desire?
Yeah, well,
it's true.
Like the last show I went to, it's like you see, well, and if you follow anybody on Snapchat, at some point you'll have, one of those where someone went to a concert and they have like the whole concert on Snapchat. And you're like, okay, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, well, you know me, you guys both know me well enough. Like, usually when I'm out with people, like as the evening goes on, my phone comes out of my pocket less and less. Because I'm just, that's not what I'm around those people for. It's not for, hey, let's see how many selfies we can get, or let's see how many pictures of whatever we can take, or, again, it's like, why do I need to record the sound of a concert when, look, let's be honest, the concerts never sound as good as the albums do, or rarely do, it's like, I don't know.
Why are we taking pictures of our fun and to show the world how much fun we're having instead of just having fun?
Right.
Well, and and that's like that idea of like to me, when I think about all the concerts that I've like taken pictures and stuff, it's, how many of them have I gone back through and reminisced on it? It's like, okay, one shot is a good one or two photos was a perfectly good reminder.
Yeah.
Right. And it reminds me of in a relationship is are you obsessing over the details and of those things like we should be at this point, this point, this point? Are you obsessing over, or are you just enjoying the experience?
Yeah.
Are you looking at the love that you have, or are you looking at how the love gets maintained?
Yeah.
Or are you demanding too much of it because it's supposed to, be like the way that something you imagined it should be versus, hey, this is how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy what is.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. And I just, when I am in that place, when I'm enjoying the moments, when I'm actually engaging, when I'm taking those little bits to take all these, these little tips in this piece and putting them in some small way into a relationship, my relationships have always turned out better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like it. So that was is that the end of the article?
Yep, that's it.
All right. I like that article. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
It was very interesting.
It's kind of fun to just take a twist on something and see how it applies. I like it.
Yeah.
It was very fun. Well, are we good, guys?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, with that, folks, you know the drill. You want to reach out to us. You want to continue the conversation. That's the word I was going for. I messed myself up. So if you want to continue the conversation, you know how to reach us. You can reach us on email on email, via email. I can talk at the crazylifepodcast at outlook.com. Or you can shoot us a message through our website at thecrazylifepodcast.weebly.com. Or you can reach me on Twitter at ditswithdtits, or Jen at Jen's Crazy Life. I can't talk to save my life right now, folks. I apologize. So Jen's Crazy Life.
Not so easy, is it? No.
So easy. You can reach me. No, I don't. So, Hanno, how can they reach you? I'm going to throw the ball.
You can find me on Twitter at Ida Henno. You can locate me on Facebook Messenger, Instagram, Henno Heiter.
Nice. And you, Brian, how can they reach you?
Well, Jen, how can they find your other show, like on Twitter or whatever? Do you know?
You can find Shake the Sheets on Twitter, iTunes, or links are on Twitter. They're on iTunes, they're Google+, Stitcher, our website, shakethesheets.com. So we are a variety of places. If you want to check us out, I'd love to hear from you.
All right. You can also find this show on Twitter at The Crazy Life Pod, where I post when new episodes go up. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/Crazy Life Podcast. Come on over and join us. Join us.
Come to Butthead.
Right.
Favorites.
You can find me on Twitter at Stunami. You can find the other podcast I'm on, Salty Language, at salty_language or at saltylanguage.com. That show is not safe for work. So, beware. I don't know, whatever. You can find us, or we're part of the Tangent Bound Network, which can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com. So please go over there and check out some other shows and see if there's anything that tickles your fancy, if you will. And yeah, I think that's all looks like all the links. So, if you'd like to help the show out, we'd really appreciate it if you would rate, review, and subscribe if you haven't already, on whatever platform you get us through. Or if they don't have that option, if they just have like or share options, please, do those, because that helps us maybe get new listeners. Or, just share our Facebook or Twitter posts with your friends and say, hey, go listen to this, you savages.
Love it.
Also, of course, please, if you feel as though you may need help, please reach out to someone. If it's a really bad situation, like a mental health crisis or whatever, please try not to be alone. Call one of the suicide prevention hotline numbers, or there's all sorts of different numbers or text things, or groups that you can be part of. Just call a friend over, whatever. Just try not to be alone. And on the other side of that, if try to reach out to people you haven't talked to in a while, or if they've gone through recent hardship. But also, don't forget to reach out to the friends that are always telling you that they're fine, or, maybe even the ones that are Snapchatting all the concert photos because of their life so great. Just make sure they're actually as great as they say. Because you never know. If nothing else, you might reconnect with somebody, make their day, or you may save a life, because you don't know where somebody's at in their struggles when you call them.
Yeah.
So, there.
And one last thing I wanted to mention that I've been seeing a lot of on social media, particularly the Twitter. There's been a lot of negativity going around, and a lot of hate, and a lot of picking on each other. Everybody has a story. Everyone has a background. You don't know. You don't know where they're at. You don't know what's going on in their lives. So don't like it. Pass by it. That's all you have to do. Don't like it. Pass by it. Mute it. There's so many other ways to deal with things that you don't want to see or don't want part of your universe in the web universe.
That's true. Outrage is not an appropriate reaction for everything on the internet.
It is not. Not.
Pick your battles.
Let's work on, go out there in the world and work on spreading the happiness and the joy, and try your hardest to push aside the negativity. So, with that, folks, enjoy your week.